Well, hey there. Welcome back to the Scale My Ecom Store podcast, where, of course, we talk about growing direct consumer brands in a way that actually works in today's digital landscape. I'm your host, Kath Langman, and today's episode is one that has been bubbling under the surface for a little while now, mm, good couple of months. And that is because we need to talk about AI again. Now, for my regular listeners, you've probably been wondering where I've disappeared over the last few weeks. I haven't released a new episode on the show for a while now, which is not like me at all. I never missed a single week in 5 years. I was releasing an original podcast, new podcast episode every week for 5 years. And then I just stopped for a few weeks. And the truth is, a couple of things happened. Number one, I got really sick at Easter time. Um, I got really sick with a nasty case of shingles, actually, and it really had me laid low for a few weeks in absolute agony. Do not recommend. And during that time, obviously I really had no energy to work or to do anything much of anything. And I spent a lot of time thinking, and specifically thinking just about how different the online business world feels now, which I'm sure that you're all experiencing as well. What the way that things used to work just doesn't work in the same way anymore. And it's really easy, of course, to put this down to the rapid explosion of AI technology on top of a tough economic climate and, lots of political instability around the world and all that kind of stuff, which for sure is all extremely relevant. And I think that during times like these, it's probably pretty common to operate in a really reactive way just to get through it. But for me, having those few weeks away from my busy day to day, my usual day to day, just to be reflective was actually an incredible gift. Not that I recommend getting shingles at all. I'm sure there's a better way to carve out some solid thinking time in life and to, have the space in one's day and one's week to just let the mind wander and to kind of bubble away in the background and come up with these creative new ideas. But that's really what happened for me. I came out of that period with some really big new ideas and insights into this new reality that we're now living and operating our businesses in, and specifically what AI is doing to the way we market and connect in e-commerce and why so many brands are getting it wrong. Ironically, I actually went to see the Mission Impossible movie, The Final Reckoning, with my family yesterday, and it does um, feel like a scary possibility of what could happen if AI really did become sentient and, what that could do to the world. Now, I don't think we're at risk of, the robots taking over or some kind of doomsday scenario, but I do see a very real my sales are slowing down and I don't know why kind of situation that's happening right now. And that's really what I want to address today on this show. And I want this to be almost like the start of a conversation and the start of a whole lot of refocused content and resources that I and my team put out. So let's dive in. And the first part of this is this shift from click-based to more conversational search. So I thought I'd start by setting the big picture here and a little bit of a recap, I guess you might call it. In case you missed it, about a year ago, Google's major algorithm update completely shifted how brands are discovered online. It used to be that if you could get your ad in front of the right person, or you could stuff your page with keywords and, try and optimize your website for that organic search traffic, then you would drive traffic. So in the past, clicks equaled conversions. But now we are entering the era of generative search. So instead of typing best baby sunglasses, your ideal customer might ask Google, what are the safest sunglasses for toddlers with sensitive eyes? And instead of a link, a list of links, Google's AI is going to likely give a direct answer. And that is likely drawn from brand content that feels trustworthy, human, and useful. So if you are still relying on click-based marketing and advertising tactics, whether it's old school search engine optimization or basic meta ads, like I see so many brands are still relying on these sorts of strategies to drive clicks and traffic without optimizing for this new era of conversational discovery, then you are going to be left behind if you aren't already. You might already be noticing this. And so this brings us to today's question. How do we create marketing content that still works in an AI-driven world? And so that takes me to my, the next kind of cookie crumb along my thought process, which is, observing where I believe most founders are going wrong with AI. Because I'm seeing a trend, and maybe you've noticed it too. You might recognize yourself in this description, that brand owners are diving, headfirst into tools like ChatGPT, Jasper, Canvas, Magic Bright, and there's a whole bunch of other AI tools on the market now, and some of them are excellent, right? And they're using them to just pump out endless volumes of content, social media posts, product descriptions, email copy, blogs, whatever kind of content that you have on your list today, right? And on the surface, it feels productive and it feels efficient and scalable. And, for so many brand founders who are having to wear lots of different hats in their business and trying to be super productive and efficient and get a lot done, typically content creation takes a long time, right? And so it is kind of a little bit seductive to fall into this way of content creation. But here's the problem that I see. A lot of this content does not have a soul. There's no story, there's no emotional weight. Founders are literally outsourcing strategy to AI and assuming that this tech will magically know what will resonate with your audience. But AI is simply a mirror, and it's not ever going to be, well, at least at this point in time, it's not a mind reader, right? So if you don't know who your ideal customer is and intimately, like what keeps them up at night, what they actually value, how they feel, you're just generating words, not trust. And in e-commerce, trust is the currency. And we really need to cultivate that and really focus on cultivating that with our audience. Which takes me to this next thought. And this really had me thinking for quite some time. And so I want to bring this concept to you that I have been chewing on lately. It's a concept introduced to me by a man called Ryan Levesque, who is a very, very smart individual and has a lot of unique ideas, really, in regards to digital marketing content. And, so for the last decade, marketing has been obsessed with dopamine, and how that transpires in marketing is, it's that hit from a social media notification. It might be the rush of a like. It might be the impulse buy offer, the clickbait, the urgency, the scarcity. All of that taps into dopamine. And dopamine works for attention, right? But what it doesn't do is build loyalty. It doesn't make someone think, this brand just gets me. I want to keep coming back. That job belongs to a different molecule, oxytocin. Oxytocin is the neurochemical of trust, connection, and human bonding. And it's what makes a customer feel like they're in a relationship with your brand. I always like to think of brands like as their own persona. I love to think about describing brands as a character in a movie universe, and when you think of it like that, it becomes a distinct possibility that a customer might want to be in a relationship with your brand and not just consider it as a transactional thing, right? Oxytocin is the warm fuzzies when your packaging makes them smile, when your email copy speaks to them like a bestie, not a bot, when your story mirrors their life. And here's the kicker. AI doesn't automatically generate oxytocin-rich content? You do. Humans do. By bringing emotional insight, human nuance, and shared experience to the party, particularly in story format, whether I don't mean story as in the size and dimensions of an Instagram story. I mean the art of storytelling. It can be in words, it can be in visuals. It should definitely be in visuals. Because that's what we engage with emotionally as humans, and it's what we remember as well. Storytelling is an excellent memory trigger. Um, and when you think about it, there is a global oxytocin deficit. So let's zoom out for a second. We live in the most connected era in human history, and yet people feel more disconnected than ever. We're in what researchers are now calling a global oxytocin deficit. We've replaced conversations with comments. We've replaced relationships with followers, and we're running businesses that optimize for efficiency at the expense of intimacy. And this isn't just philosophical fluff, it's actual biology. And real trust is built in shared space, even if it's virtual, but it's got to feel real. And that's where small, premium, innovative direct-to-consumer brands can have an edge. You can show up, you can tell stories, you can connect, but only if you don't lose your human voice in the sea of robotic content. Now, I'm going to, in my usual way, share a bit of a step-by-step framework on how to use, in this case, on how to use AI well when it comes to creating marketing content for your brand. And, before I dive into this step-by-step, I just want to remind you that all the AI tools are great. We use them. I love them. I'm going to share with you in a minute how I think you should be using them to add value to your business and to create value in your business. But you've got to remember, at the end of the day, your consumer is a human, right? And your consumer is a human who will make a human decision to buy or to not buy. So just bear that in mind, all right? So now let's get into some good stuff here. How can you use AI in your business, not as a crutch, but as a creative co-pilot to become more human and not less human? And so I want to share a framework with you that I am now recommending to my coaching clients and that I use and my team uses inside the productpreneur businesses and Integari and all the rest of it. And the first step has to be deeply understanding the humanness of your customer. So before you generate any content, you need to know who you're talking to. And I don't mean vague avatars like mums aged 25 to 45, like some demographic settings that you might select in your ads manager. I mean, what do they worry about? What motivates them to buy? What do they believe about themselves? What are they sick of hearing from brands? And so much more. If you don't know your ideal customer like your bestie, you're just going to be generating noise as well. And this is we have a very unique process that we use and teach our clients about customer research that really helps them to get inside their customer's head. I'm not going to share all of that good juice with you here on this podcast. You can certainly come and learn it from us. It is a fantastic process that absolutely helps to highlight your brand and what's unique and desirable about it in a way that connects deeply with your customers. However, I have created a free tool that will help get you on the right pathway. So I've created a customer avatar guide and template, and I will share the link shortly where you will be able to download that. And that will get you on the pathway to this most essential step of truly, deeply understanding and knowing your ideal customer. You have to keep that front and center. Like I said before, it is a human being who's making a purchase decision or not to buy from you, right? So we need to make sure that we are speaking to them in all of our content. Step 2, create thought-leading, human-first content. Yes, you can use AI to help brainstorm ideas, structure blog posts, draft emails, but always bring your own perspective. The content that ranks in generative search isn't necessarily the fastest or most keyword stuffed content. It's the content that is genuinely helpful, emotionally resonant, and original. So you want to think about answers to real questions that your customers are asking or thinking about. You can create buying guides with personality, founder stories that connect, blog posts that your audience would actually want to read, even if they didn't convert immediately. So you don't need to be pumping out 25 posts a week. What you actually need to publish is one that really, really matters. And as a side note, if you want to proof for yourself of how important this is, go and do a Google search yourself for, the answer to a question that might have been bothering you lately, and have a look at what the search results show you. Most of what is going to appear on the page is going to be these generative search summaries. Like essentially you don't need to leave Google to find the answers to what you need. So if you want to have a hope of your brand being discovered by Google, you need to be creating the kind of content that is going to be shown in these AI summaries in the generative search results. And then the third step to this framework for using AI in your marketing content creation is to be proactive about PR and media mentions. So generative search is fueled by credibility. So you definitely need to be cultivating signals of trust outside your own website. And that means getting, things like getting quoted in articles, collaborating with influencers or thought leaders, guesting on podcasts, being mentioned in news outlets or niche publications. And, for sure, you can use AI tools to help pitch, write up these articles or press releases, or even to identify the kinds of media or journalists that you want to target. But the relationships, the storytelling, that's still on you. And the benefits with adding PR into your strategy is that it's going to help build backlinks, it's going to help build authority, and that's going to help you win in this new generative search algorithm. It's also going to help with immediately establishing that trust with your ideal customer audience as well, which of course goes a long way towards encouraging them to make that first purchase and to stay around and buy again and again. So that is what I have for you today. Let me share the URL for where you can get that customer avatar guide and worksheet. So you can head to katherinelangman.com/avatar. We will, of course, share the link to that in the podcast notes for this episode. But I'd love to hear from you as well. What's your takeaway from this episode? I mean, I do want to say that this is the start of more conversations on this topic, but I'd love to hear what your takeaway is from today. Hopefully it's not that AI is bad or that you should go full analog and start, hand delivering marketing flyers door to door. Definitely don't want to go back to those days. But I hope that it's more that you can't automate empathy, and that your brand's real competitive advantage in this AI era is your ability to create real human resonance. And that starts with really knowing who you're talking to and why they should care. Now, of course, if you want to get this right from the start, first step is to grab my free customer avatar guide and template. And so you can head to katherinelangman.com/avatar for that. And it's a really simple but powerful tool to help you write the kind of marketing that your actual customer wants to see. In this new era of marketing, the brands that feel the most real are the ones that will rise. So, like I said, that is it for today's episode. If you found this helpful, please leave us a review on whichever platform that you listen to it on. Share it with a fellow founder or tag me on Instagram at Kath Langman. And remember, the future of e-commerce isn't just fast or flashy, it's felt. That's my thoughts for you for this week, and I'll see you again next week. Bye for now.